Hello, my brood. Have you ever known someone and this person, maybe you've known them for a while, or maybe you just meet them and they're just on your mind all the time, and you're thinking about them, or you are maybe trying to figure out how to ask to hang out, and they seem to become this really big part of your life, but you can't seem to quite figure out if they are feeling the same way or thinking about you nearly so much. Let's take a minute and talk about that. But of course, as always, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not any kind of mental health professional, and I'm not a doctor. You should always take what I say with a grain of salt, and if you have questions about this, you should definitely bring it to your professional team. So let's talk a little bit about limerence. Now, normally, if you go and look up limerence, or if you've heard of it before, it's usually referred to as a romantic interest. Infatuation is a word that's often used, or perhaps maybe someone will describe it as a crush. But nevertheless, it's typically referred to in this way as someone who you could see yourself being with beyond platonically. But some articles, some topics, some people will go a little bit further with it, and they'll talk about limerence in more of a friendship way, or they might even talk about it in a you to your pets way. And nevertheless, never mind how it's used, limerence ultimately is the state of having a heavy interest in someone else, but you're not sure of the relationship that you're getting back from them. Maybe you're not sure if they are actually your friend or not. Maybe you're not sure if they're actually thinking of you. Maybe you don't really know if they want to have you there in their life. And so, of course, you do what most people would do, and you reach out and you say, hey, how's it going? Maybe we can hang out, play a game, go to the park, whatever. And there's a little bit of interest coming back, but you can never quite seem to get some solid plans made. Or when a solid plan is made, it's one that is few and far between from the others. This can leave us in a weird place. Like, are they humoring me? Or are they just really busy? Do they have a larger social group and can only entertain so many of us at a time? Or are they just not that interested in spending time with me? It leaves us in a tricky place. And I think that this is a spot where those of us with autism or other neurodevelopmental conditions can sometimes struggle. Sometimes for us, when we don't know what's going on, we may amplify our attempts to figure it out. And this isn't necessarily what we're consciously trying to do. It's not that we're trying to force an answer. It's more like anxiety. It's more like not knowing, and so you're driven to get the answer. Can we hang out? Can we spend time? Can we play games? Can we hang out? Can we spend time? Can we play games? We go around in these circles and we try to integrate these people into our lives, and we just can't seem to get that solid answer back. it can be a really, really stressful period. The nice thing about limerence is that it is typically a temporary condition, one that may end suddenly, one that just disappears over time, or it could gain the confidence in the relationship that it needed. Maybe the person was just busy, or maybe the relationship needed to grow in a different way. Limerence isn't exclusively and strictly around being obsessed with a person. Instead, limerence is driven by uncertainty of your relationship with them, and then it becomes obsessive. We may have many relationships that we're uncertain of, but it's only the ones that we become obsessed with that are stated to be limerent. Some time ago, I was watching a talk given by Brene Brown called The Call to Courage. And through this talk, she talked about this idea of the story I'm telling myself. And it was an interesting thing because the story that I'm telling myself is usually wrong. But phrasing it in that way is a useful way to let the other person know that you're not actually sure what's going on. You're not accusing them of anything, you just don't know any better. And so, in a limerent situation, the story I'm telling myself is that you don't want to hang out with me. The story I'm telling myself is that you're humoring me or that you're trying to let me down easily. The story that I'm telling myself is that you're too busy for me. Sometimes, oftentimes, we get caught in these circles of not really knowing, but we tell ourselves these stories that are worst case scenarios. We create these anxious situations, and it's not that we're trying to create these anxious situations. It's not that it's our fault. As we've talked about in the last couple of episodes of Tab, we're driven to be socially involved with people, whether that be one person, many people, or a community in a much larger sense. Us humans are not very good at surviving and thriving on our own. It makes sense that when we don't know what our relationship is, that we'll try and try and try to figure it out. It's a survival mechanism. It's evolutionary. We are driven to belong and to be accepted. Limerence is not a fun place to be. If you've ever had this experience of being unsure whether you are accepted or not, it can be very stressful, very time consuming. It can eat your brain up day after day after day. But maybe what we need to do is talk to that person and tell them the story I'm telling myself. And maybe the answer that we get back, maybe it hurts, maybe it helps. But either way, it moves us forward. And it might be scary, and it might not be the answer that we want, but there's a good chance that it's better than going through the anxiety for days or months or years. And we can cut straight to the challenge and meet it head on. And from there, we can move to a healthier social situation, one where we feel confident, one where we feel accepted, one where we belong and we don't have to question ourselves all the time. It can be difficult to anticipate where our social acceptances will lie, but if the story that we're telling ourselves is the only story we ever hear, it can definitely prolong that period of anxiety and searching.